Welcome into this week's edition of the Railsplitter Athletics Report. I'm your host, Adam Haley. We're approaching the very end of the fall athletics season, and I would say we're getting ready to start the winter one, but basketball for both men's and women's has already started, and they're off to a fantastic start. We're going to talk about that in just a second. On tonight's show, we're going to talk women's volleyball, as the women's volleyball team are leaving, and have already left, for Wingate, North Carolina. They're in the South Atlantic Conference semifinals, and we're going to talk to South Atlantic Conference Coach of the Year, Jenny Michael, about the end of the regular season and the weekend upcoming. We're also going to talk to Assistant Athletic Director Cameron Whicker about the things that are going on around athletics that you may not get to see. The raffle being one thing, and the construction in the Valley of Sports being another topic that we're going to talk about a little bit later on. Before we get into our interview segments, however, let's talk about some results that happened this past week. In women's basketball, as we said, they're off to a fantastic start. They are 3-0 to start off the season. Last weekend, they defeated 21st ranked Landers 71-67, defeated USC Aiken the next day 78-51, and then traveled to the University of the Cumberlands up in Williamsburg and defeated the University of the Cumberlands 69-52 this past Tuesday. For the first time since the late 90s, I believe it was the 98-99 season, women's basketball here at LMU 3-0 to start a season. Men's basketball, they're still ranked number 2 in the nation in the media poll. They're 2-0 after defeating King this past weekend 92-70 and then defeating Lees McRae 94-66. They have a huge weekend upcoming in Evansville, Indiana. We'll tell you about that a little bit later on. And we don't want to forget women's bowling. They have already started. We went 5-7 this past weekend at the Warhawk Classic in Kenosha, Wisconsin. They're getting ready to take a break before the spring semester when they'll really get into their conference schedule. But again, we got a jam-packed show. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, you're going to hear our conversation with Jenny Michael earlier in this week as they get ready for the South Atlantic Conference semifinals and potentially finals. You'll see that right after this here on the Railsplitter Athletics Report.
Pinnacle Performance Physical Therapy wants you to know you have a choice where to receive physical and occupational therapy. We take an individualized approach to treating people of all ages. Our therapist's goal is to assist all patients by reaching their pinnacle performance in school, work, and play. We have state-of-the-art equipment such as our Alter-G anti-gravity treadmill, used to rehabilitate injuries and pain throughout the body's lower extremities. Contact us for an appointment at 423-869-9923. Pinnacle Performance Physical Therapy, 362 Catalpa Avenue, Harrogate.
Whether institutional case good or architectural woodwork, Nolan Products Incorporated of Knoxville has been serving East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, and Southeast Kentucky since 1958. From concept to finish, Nolan Products custom builds to the highest quality standards to meet your facility specifications while using only the finest materials available. Nolan Products has been serving and meeting the needs and requirements of general contractors and architects in East Tennessee and surrounding area for more than 55 years. Nolan Products Incorporated, 912 Forsyth Street Northeast, Knoxville.
Welcome back into the Railsplitter Athletics Report, joined alongside by head women's volleyball coach Jenny Michael. I have to actually say women's now. It's still kind of a little odd, even though we're getting close to, we're actually in the month of November now. But the regular season has come to an end. We're now actually in the middle of the South Atlantic Conference tournament. Let's talk about the end of the regular season, though. Your team was on quite a bit of a roll. They hit in the last 4 games, they hit a spot where you all played some very tough competition. Catawba was playing out of their minds, playing one of the hottest teams there at the end of the regular season. Queens was playing for the conference lead. You had Lenore Ryan in here that was one of the hotter teams as well. I mean, they were projected second in the South Atlantic Conference. If it hadn't been for injuries, they'd probably still been at the top of the conference.
Right, for sure.
So you hit some tough teams at the end. You end up going 1-3 in those last 4 games. But talk about that little stretch there and how it prepares you for the tournament.
You know, we've talked all year just about failure and how, you know, failure is not fatal, but failure to change can be. And that was really the first time that we had seen all year where if we had suffered a loss, we'd done a good job all season being able to respond and bounce back and still win that next day. So to have, you know, 3 consecutive losses, you know, for this season at least, was unheard of. And it wasn't necessarily a time for us to panic. You know, we knew that unfortunately it meant that we were behind. We had relinquished that opportunity to be regular season champions or co-champions. And there was even a point there where there were 3 teams tied, you know, for lead atop the conference. So it was disappointing because as far as goals go, you know, they kind of, you know, as a program, we weren't in contention to have that as a goal that we could meet. But by no means was our season over, nor is it over right now. And that was the thing that we had to turn and shift our focus to quickly, and we actually kind of did even necessarily before the regular season was technically over, is, you know, after we lost to LR on Friday, you know, we knew it was unlikely that we'd be atop the conference. So we said, okay, look, we know that we're in the conference postseason. We need to shift our mentality to a postseason mentality. And really, that Saturday match against Brevard, that was where we were. We were saying, okay, we're starting our second season. We're starting, the next phase of our season today. Wash away what's already occurred. We've learned from it. We've learned from the good. We've learned from the bad. And let's move forward. So it was really nice to see. I thought we had a really good response on Saturday. We took care of business where we needed to. And then for Tuesday, honestly, I think it was a great matchup for us. I told you guys before the match, it probably wasn't something, that I want to say, but I liked the fact that we were playing LR because they had just beat us on Friday, and I knew it would be very hard for them to travel back here, and we'd have a great crowd, a lot of support, everything, and we had all of that, which was amazing to have the Mars Maniacs, acting crazy. I mean, we had our dinosaur, we had our hot dog, I think the only thing we were missing was really the gorilla. I don't recall seeing the gorilla, but that's okay. I'm sure he was there in spirit. And, really, even though we lost that first set, I feel like we controlled the match for the most part. We just had a major meltdown with our ball control in that first set. And, again, it was an opportunity for us to learn on the fly and see that, look, we just had a major meltdown. We just had an epic failure, but we recovered. And we recovered as a team. No one person had to carry the load. I thought Abby did a great job distributing, things. Obviously, we had some people step up. Sam did a nice job. But, it was still just such a team effort that, started, honestly, back in August and arguably even back last January when we were doing our off-season training and had the opportunity to do our beach season. That's really what we're seeing right now is the benefit of just all those little things coming together.
Well, the past 5 games, which includes the quarterfinal round, you go 2 and 3, and I think it's a sense, we talked about the competition, but one of the goals every year is to be conference champion. You want that regular season championship, and especially women's volleyball, you got to beat Wingate to get there. Wingate's always been that targeted team. We've seen them this year be targeted and beat on a couple occasions, and I think that's where your team has turned the curve. They're not jumping at the target. They are now the targeted. Teams in the conference are looking to knock off Lincoln Memorial. And I think that's what we saw that last road weekend when you had Catawba and Queens. Queens was fighting for what it turned out to be was the conference lead, and they stumbled down the stretch and lose 3 in a row. But your team has finally, I feel like, turned the curve, and now they are the one of the targeted teams in the conference.
Definitely, and that's a different pressure that we necessarily haven't felt before. It's one thing when you're always, like you're talking about, like trying to knock off somebody from the top, but then when you're suddenly at the top and trying to keep and fend everybody off, and maybe it got to us a little bit, maybe it got to us a little bit mentally, that pressure of, oh my gosh, we can't lose now. And we try to talk to our athletes about, having the right mentality and not being afraid of what we can lose, but be excited about the opportunity that we have and what we have to gain. So it was tough. We knew going to Catawba for sure. I mean, when they were here at our place, they almost beat us, statistically. They really won most every category, so we knew if they had one game notched on their schedule, they were going to be fired up for when LMU was coming to their place, and they did. They played really well. They were just too much for us to handle. I don't think we traveled real well that day either. And then, turn around then at Queens, it was like we were just in a fog for too long. And by the time that we had that fog lift, which I guess is kind of an irony right now with all these wildfires going around, stuff like that, which is very unfortunate. But, by the time we really lifted ourselves out of that fog, it was a little too late. And then, again, we come for LR, and we were fortunate we still had the opportunity. It was like one of those things where Tuesday night we're probably kind of cheering for LR a little bit to give us a chance, because if they knock off Queens, and they did, but that also meant that they were now the hottest team coming in. So, and they did a great job. Again, we did not play very well last Friday night, but not taking anything away from LR, they did what they needed to do. They played well, they executed where we didn't, and it just, it all comes together for the whole package of the season.
You get the revenge, is kind of what we called it, and you essentially win the rubber match and you defeat LR on Tuesday. You're going to move on to the SEC semifinals. You've already knocked off the defending tournament champions, but now you're in a group with the top 4 teams with Newberry, Queens, and there's that team again, Wingate, and it so happened with the rotation, they're at home, so they're going to be ready for this one. But these are 3 teams going in that your team can honestly say we have defeated this season?
Well, it's interesting because while, yes, we have defeated, they've also defeated us, so we have to look, glass half empty, half full kind of situation. So being very humble with our opportunity. But again, you could look at potentially the idea of the fact that, Newberry was one of those teams that we lost to them here at home. It was a tough 5-setter. They played very excited. They've been very hot. I think they've had one loss in like their last 10 or 11 matches, something like that. I mean, they've been doing very well. And, they're on fire. I mean, they did kind of what LR was hoping to do, in the sense that this past weekend, they beat a hot Queens, a hot Catawba, then they had to turn right back around, play Catawba again, but they were able to go ahead and complete the, 2-for-2 kind of, victories over them. So they're going to be really fired up. They're very excited. They had a lot of injuries earlier in the year, so they're healthy now. They're playing, the volleyball that they want to be playing, so it's going to be a really tough match on Friday, but we're excited about it.
You're going to Wingate. This is the semifinals is no place that we've never been before. I think we were actually there last season and got so close to the finals. So a lot of the players here, they know what to expect. There's not going to be the bright lights and big eyes of, oh, we made the semifinals. Your team is poised to do something that potentially no other LMU women's volleyball team has been able to do. That's win the South Atlantic Conference title. What's the mindset from travel to Wingate, preparation for Newberry, and working your way through the weekend to bring back the championship?
Oh, we got to go, one match at a time. So there's no Saturday without taking care of business on Friday. And, we look forward to having a good session this evening, just mentally preparing, and then physically kind of getting ourselves, traveling and preparing there Thursday night, and then game time on Friday.
Have you seen maybe the team has wrapped their mind around what a magical season it's been so far? I mean, you got the South Atlantic Conference, and that's still within grasp, but also on the outside that I know you've probably paid attention to, I don't know if the team has or not, there's also those regional rankings, and that NCAA tournament bid may still be within grasp.
I think we've got a pretty good shot at having a chance for that NCAA postseason, but again, that's not something that we're really talking about. I mean, we know where it's at. It's been, the total body of work kind of leading up to it. And right now we're just focused on one match at a time in the SAC tournament and trying to see, this. I mean, for our seniors especially, we've got a pretty big senior group. This is their last chance. They missed the mark, even by a narrow margin, for the regular season. So now this is their second life at seeing, what kind of mark they can leave on program history with the conference tournament. All
right, Coach. Well, congratulations on the season it has been so far. It's not over. Good luck over in Wingate and bring home that first SAC title.
Well, we're going to try. Thanks.
Head Coach Jenny Michael. Let's take a break. We'll be right back after this here on the Railsplitter Athletics Report.
Are you looking for efficient, compassionate, and comprehensive health care for you and your family? If you are, visit Lincoln Memorial University Medical Clinics in Harrogate and New Tazewell. All healthcare providers are faculty members of LMU's DeVos College of Osteopathic Medicine and are board certified in their specialty. Multiple specialties available are family medicine, pediatrics, internal medicine, OBGYN, geriatrics, and osteopathic manipulative medicine. Locations at Harrogate and New Tazewell. Most insurance plans are accepted. The University Medical Clinic is here to serve you. Call 423-869-7190 for an appointment.
It's the Old Town Grill.
The Old Town Grill is a special place where you bring more than family, more than friends. Bring a hearty appetite, because at the Old Town Grill, you'll never walk away hungry. A delicious change from the ordinary. The perfect place to bring the entire family. The best food and plenty of it. Join the fun and treat your appetite to something special.
It's the OTG.
The OTG is the place to be.
Welcome back to the Railsplitter Athletics Report, joined alongside by Assistant Athletic Director Cameron Whicker. Cam, first off, welcome back. The last time we talked to you, we were kind of promoting a raffle, a fundraising raffle that was going on for the athletics department. That has now since come and passed. The drawings were actually 2 days ago, or yesterday actually it was. How did the raffle go from a sales point?
It went really well. Actually, we did finish up yesterday. We drew 24 straight hours of winners, and I want to thank the staff and everybody involved with that. And I do want to thank all the supporters and all the programs, the students that went out and sold the tickets, and everybody that's helped participate in this thing. And It was, at first we were skeptical of doing it because, it's never been done here. It was the first annual, but, it went really well, and it's something I think moving forward we'd like to do again. It was a chance for the student athletes to kind of go out and interact with the community, and also, get with parents and everybody and just see them all come together and support this thing. It was really cool.
24 solid hours of picking names, at one every hour. I didn't get to see all the different drawings on each hour, but a lot of times I saw a lot of Scott Irwin and his staff. Were you all in the athletics department, you and Matt and Mike, were you all part of the drawings as well, or did you kind of let them take that?
We actually let Scott, Terrence Burdett, and Andy Ferguson, as well as Eddie Leaf, kind of tackle that project. That's something they wanted to do. It was actually Scott's idea to do the Facebook Live and to video it and put the videos on there and kind of interact with social media. Social media is such a huge aspect in today's society. So it was just something cool that they thought of to bring to the table, and we kind of let them just run with it, and I think it turned out pretty well.
How much coffee was taken in those overnight hours from midnight to probably 7 a.m.?
A lot of K-Cups.
Yeah.
There was like a stack of this high of K-Cups in the media room afterwards. But no, they are recovering this morning, but they did a fantastic job, and it was a lot of fun.
Now that money is going to go not to a particular team or particular project, correct? It's just going to be into the general fund for athletics to use how they want.
Right, and we have a couple initiatives. We're working on hopefully a new academic facility or center for our student athletes, as well as helping to enhance some of the sports network and the broadcast for the streaming for all the games. I know, and going HD and different things like that. Obviously, those things can be expensive, but this raffle went a long way to helping us with that. So all programs will see the benefit, because we stream all the games, and that was kind of our thing going into it is what can we use this money for where everybody benefits. So
now, one of the things we want to talk about is the Valley of Sports. Everybody that drives into the Harrogate or goes down toward La Fall, they see the construction on the side of the road. Now, we saw the lacrosse, the field house is complete. Their field looks like it's complete and ready to go for the spring. Now we're seeing the dirt being moved, and turf is actually being laid now for baseball and softball. Talk about the progression so far along that.
Well, they've done a fantastic job. They've been moving really fast. Like you said, as you've gone back and forth down the highway, you've seen the progression. It's taken on a life of its own. I think the plan is to hopefully be done in the next couple months with these facilities. I know, like you said, the turf went down for baseball. The buildings and the structures going up and the wall. It's just going to be fantastic for all the athletes and the programs and the Valley of Sports in itself over the next 3 years. The plans are going to be unreal. I think from a Division II standpoint, we have the best facilities in the country. And, I think hopefully, like you said, lacrosse is going to be done, baseball, softball at the end of this year. And then I think there are also some plans for maybe some other facilities to join that in the near future.
It occurred to me, we just forgot the first one they started building down there. Indoor tennis. They should be in the spring, correct?
Yes. The indoor tennis facility is pretty close as well. I know they're trying to get it open for tennis, obviously, in the spring or second semester as the winter months come, and then also to get the community in there so they can get involved and use it. So.
Now, you take a look, lacrosse should be on their field in the spring. Indoor tennis will be down there, baseball, softball. How have the coaches been? We know Benny's been all about the indoor tennis complex. We know the lacrosse coaches are loving having the part. But what about baseball and softball, knowing they're going to be moving their facilities? How have they taken the reception?
I think they're extremely excited. I mean, it's a definite upgrade. It's a great recruiting tool for their players and for their staff. And I think, again, anytime you can have your own facility and you can have the best facilities in the country, that helps towards all the student athletes and their performance. So it's going to take some adjusting, but I think we're starting to get everything down there from an athletic training standpoint, from offices and from different things, and hopefully in the next year or so everything will be complete and it'll be really nice for everybody.
Something I think is going to be, I don't know if it's going to be a little bit of a shock or not to the community when they come out and see these fields, is baseball and softball are now going to be turf, as opposed to that Bermuda grass or natural grass. Talk about the I don't know if you were in the decision making to putting artificial turf in or not, but I know it's going to be less maintenance for those teams.
Well, I was not. I let other people higher than me handle that, but yes, I think that's the big advantage. And you'll ask Coach Sixeye and Coach Layden that anytime you can take that field maintenance, that's a big part of what they do, and they have to use their players and staff to help with the field maintenance and all the work, and you can imagine with the winter months and all the things that requires. Having that turf is going to be, great, and they're excited about that. I think that might be one of the biggest perks of moving the facilities down there, and also the versatility of it. And hopefully, plans may be that we can get a couple more turf fields going on.
Now that's coming up in the spring. We're not even really into the winter month yet, just down in November. The fall sports is wrapping up. Women's volleyball, we've already talked to Jenny. She's on the road to Wingate this weekend for the SAC tournament. Men's soccer came up short for the NCAA tournament. Really lost in double overtime of the SAC championship. Coach L almost had another conference title. Cross country did well in the Southeast regional tournaments. The fall sports really held their own so far.
They really have, and it's been exciting to watch. It's been a great start to this year. Starting out, like you said, with women's volleyball, we're pulling for them hard this weekend. They got a big game tomorrow against Newberry, and then hopefully a conference championship on Saturday. And then the men's soccer team, like you said, it was devastating to watch as that last second goal, but they fought hard, and we're proud of them and proud of the cross country and everybody else that competed this fall. And hopefully it'll springboard us into the second semester. I know basketball's kicking up, and they've got a big tournament this weekend up in Evansville, and women's basketball's off to a nice start as they've started undefeated as well. So
that was actually where I was getting ready to go, is basketball. The men's basketball team, 2-0, as you mentioned. They've got two tough games coming up this weekend. But the women are off to the best start since the late 90s with a 3-0 start. And it's not necessarily all pushovers. They played two great teams from the Peach Belt here at home and then went on the road to Cumberland.
Yeah, that opening weekend tournament, and that's what a lot of teams are starting to do across the country is, you don't really, you're opening up with top 25 teams, and your teams are getting great competition early. And Coach Evans and her staff have done a great job preparing her girls. I know she was, extremely nervous heading into this weekend, or last weekend, and, it was good to see them come out. They played extremely well, and like you said, handled a really good Lander team and a USC Aiken team, from the Peach Belt. That's a pretty strong conference in the past year. So that was encouraging, and the men, as you mentioned, are going to see two probably top 10 teams this weekend. And if you talk to Coach Schertz, he'd probably say they lose by 40 both times. But we have full confidence in them going up there, and I think they're going to have a great showing and hopefully come away with 2 wins.
Now, you used to be an assistant coach under Schertz. Do you enjoy not having to travel and maybe having the stress of scouting teams like this, or is it more stress being in the athletics office dealing with all the teams?
I think there's different stress in both sides. I do miss the competition aspect and traveling with the team. That was probably the best part of coaching is going on the road with the team and the staff and that camaraderie. But you also have that on the administration side, and we'll get out and get to travel to some events. But we've got our own responsibilities here. We've got the women's game this weekend that we're preparing for. So stress both ways, but it's good. It's good stress if there ever is anything, and it's fun, and we just try to enjoy ourselves.
You mentioned women's basketball. They're at home this weekend taking on King. We've technically already started the home schedule with the Peach Belt SAC crossover last weekend. Are there any promotions coming up that you can think of off the top of your head for basketball this season that kind of stick out? I mean, I know with volleyball we had, I think, throwback night, we had a Halloween night. Is there anything in particular that stands out for basketball season? I know it's a long home schedule, but is there one that stands out?
There's not one that stands out. I think we've got a lot on the docket. Abe's Army, our student-led organization, is putting together a big list, and that should be announced shortly with the conference season coming up on November 30th. I think, the thing I could say is every game is going to have their own little unique theme, and we encourage everybody to come out. We're going to have, I think, like we already talked about, 2 great teams, and with the women and the men, and some great basketball to be seen. So, as many people and students that can come out to the games, I think that just helps our home court advantage.
Well, Cam, I want to thank you for joining us. Again, we're just now almost to the midway point of the athletics calendar. Basketball is getting ready to take over, so at that point it almost slows down. It almost doesn't feel like it, but it kind of slows down as we get ready for the spring. So thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back with more Railsplitter Athletics Report after this.
Make K&K Metal Sales your only stop for all your residential and commercial metal building needs. For the past 23 years, K&K Metal Sales has covered the tri-state area with quality custom roofing and siding with many grades, gauges, and colors in stock. If you're looking for complete steel or wood building packages or steel or wood trusses, K&K Metal Sales can help with that, as well as heavy-duty custom carports. Great folks and great prices. Stop by K&K Metal Sales located at 6986 Cumberland Gap Parkway or call 423-869-4269.
Welcome back to the Railsplitter Athletics Report. Before we finish off tonight's show, let us tell you about some of the events that's coming up this week and into early part of next week. As we mentioned, women's volleyball, they're on the road in the South Atlantic Conference. They've got the semifinals on Friday. That's a 4 o'clock start as they take on Newberry. The two teams split inside of the regular season. That's a 2-3 matchup. The winner of that one will take on the 1-4 matchup, which is Wingate and Queens. That matchup will happen on Saturday in the South Atlantic Conference Finals over in Wingate. Good luck to Coach Michael and her crew. Men's basketball, they're in Evansville, Indiana. They've got a very tough weekend coming up. On Friday at 7 p.m., they are taking on Kentucky Wesleyan. On Saturday, they're taking on Alabama Huntsville. That's a 4:30 start. Both of these games will be covered by the LMU Sports Network on the radio side. Rusty Peace will have the call from Evansville, Indiana on 91.3 FM WLMU. Pregame will start about a half an hour before tip-off for those particular contests. For women's basketball, they're at home this weekend. They're taking on King University, the Tornado out of Conference Carolinas. Tip-off for that one is 2 o'clock. It's out of the Texturn Arena. LMU Sports Network will have live television coverage of that. Myself, I'll have that call. We'll start about a half hour or so ahead of that contest for pregame. Then the two teams will actually come back together Tuesday, next week, 2 days before Turkey Day. They're on the road for the first South Atlantic Conference matchup. They're at Jefferson City taking on the Eagles of Carson Newman University. So very quickly, we're only about a couple weeks into the season, and they're going to be starting conference play. So good luck to Coach Schertz and Coach Evans as they continue on their hot start for the start of the 2016-2017 season. Next week, we're going to actually have a rerun. We'll be back for the opens and closes to let you know what's going on and what has already happened. But we're also going to take a look back at some of the things that's already happened inside the fall semester as we get ready for Thanksgiving. That's going to do it for this week's show. I want to thank you all for joining us. Until next week, I'm Adam Haley, and you've been watching the Railsplitter Athletics Report.